So if you want a more fulfilling life and you are over the boredom of limiting reality, of the limitlessness of identities and what they do to us, then stick around for this video, because this is one of the keys in order to break free and to live a more expansive life. So I'm just going to provide you the wisdom, and then I'll provide you a practice or two to help get you started on this journey. Hello, beautiful beings. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. You are most welcome in this sacred and safe space with me. My name is Maya, and I'm a shamanic practitioner. And in this video, we're going to be talking about something really, really fun. I really like this topic. It's all about identities and archetypes and why identities are so limiting. So today, I'm not wearing makeup or my face tattoos, partly because I'm honestly just really lazy. I don't feel like doing that today, but also it's also to strip away maybe this identity I put on for myself to kind of show you the premise of this topic today. Okay, so let's just get right into the video. So we are multi-dimensional beings. We are not the same throughout the day. We're not the same throughout the month. And we're definitely not the same throughout the year. We have different seasons. We have different cycles. You wake up in the morning, you're in a different attitude than when you are getting ready for sleep. And so to try and put yourself in a box to make you one or two kinds of people is extremely difficult, actually, on who you are as a being. And it also takes you out of the rhythms of the cycles and the natural aspect of life. So the more that we resist expressing and embracing these different aspects of ourselves, then the more we resist our full potential, and the harder it is to get closer to source. And honestly, if we didn't have all these different aspects of us that is different and constantly changing, we would be bored. And then what's really the point of being here incarnating as a human? So while the core inside of us always remains the same in its purity and its truth, the expressions of that source is different and has many different aspects to it. And so that's why I call us multi-dimensional beings. So here's the source, here's the core, and then it wants to go through this channel or this channel or this channel or this channel, many different ways that it wants to dance with life. And so because we're in this physical 3D reality, and a lot of the time we are spending in our outwardly expression, interacting with the physical realms, with other people, I really feel that in order to find out who we truly are, okay, not who we think we are, but who we truly are, we must ride the waves of all that we express, of all that we can be. And that will bring us to our closer truth, to our closer source. So maybe you're riding one sort of identity and you're riding that wave, and and here's your source here, you're only poking at it in one angle. So you only know maybe this side of the aspect of your true source. But if you continue to ride different waves of expression, it shows you the different angles and aspects of that source, of that core within you. So this is where identities can be so limiting. If you are only consistently keeping yourself within, 1 to 3 identities, then you are preventing and denying yourself of your full expression. And oftentimes we'll keep riding that same wave, right? So over here, we're riding this one wave into our source, which is only going to one area of our source. If we keep riding that same wave, then we start to believe that that identity becomes our whole story. And that's then creates the illusion of who we think we are. And how boring is that? That is so limiting, because then we're only going to live life riding one kind of wave, when really there's so much more to the capacity in which we can express and be and thrive and live. And so the consequence of this is unfulfillment. It's also living life not in your full truth and never really understanding your authenticity. And it's honestly just not as fun. And the love that you can feel when you embrace more of who you are, embrace more of life and the expressions of it, the more you become one with the world. and one with everything around you. And that is a way less lonely path. So embodying, learning about, having awareness of, expressing, meditating on different archetypes, different identities, that gives you the roadmap to get closer to your true source. And that is the roadmap to more self-discovery. It's just like that one saying, you gotta try something new every once in a while to figure out what you like and what you don't like. Like, how do you know you like something if you've never tried it before? So let's make the clear distinction of archetypal energy and identity. There's a kind of personification when it comes to identity, and I feel we create a lot of stories around identities. And so what I'm trying to help you understand is to transition these identities and to express more archetypal energies. And while identities and archetypes, they both have their own shadow aspects, I would say that identities are more easy to get in those shadows. So once you become aware of archetypal energy, so these different expressions of our nature, of what lives within, rather than these identities that are just stories of what people think about the world, okay? So these archetypes that are deep within us that get expressed. I'm really talking about expressing and moving through the conscious aspect of these archetypes. And yeah, I have no idea if that made sense, but let's just continue. So how incredibly expansive and freeing it is to play with different archetypal energies or different identities that may be seemingly contradictory at first, but they're actually not, because we are way more interconnected, integrated than we might actually realize. Like, we're not as separated as we keep trying to be. So I'm going to give you some really good examples. So the archetype of the priest and the archetype of the prostitute. Okay, so say you are a priest, or you really identify with this path, with this life. And if a priest were to go in and actually express and move through that archetypal energy of the prostitute, of the sacred prostitute, the prostitute actually can teach the priest so much more about how to get closer to God. And the prostitute's perspective may be through that channel of sexuality, or learning to fully sacrifice your body and what that actually means. So sacrificing your body into being in service. And that is all about the sacred prostitute. And so we have all these identities and stories about what the prostitute is. And of course, we see the shadows of that identity. But the sacred prostitute in her essence is a very beautiful, powerful energy, one who sacrifices her body in order to be in service, and uses sexuality to get closer to God, and gives sexual healing to people, so allows people to be sexually free and to get closer to their own divinity through sexuality. So if a priest were to actually embody that energy and learn about his or her inner prostitute. So if a priest were to actually allow and accept and learn about his inner prostitute, then he may be accessing a channel that brings him to a whole new level with his relationship with God. Okay, another great example, and this is one I am working with in my personal life. It's the archetype of the shaman and the businessman. Okay, so the businessman actually may be able to teach the shaman a new and more powerful way to be more in service to the earth and to the people. Because there's the shaman, they live their life in full service, they're channeling the earth, they're one with the earth, but perhaps the businessman comes in and gives the shaman business plans and financial advice and investing, and shows the shaman, you can be in service instead of to these 10 people, you can be in service to 1,000, 1,000,000 people if you were to just do some of these business things, these marketing things. So I love that idea, because for me in my personal life, I get very stuck on the judgments of the identity of the shaman, saying, well, a shaman can't make money. We really believe that in a society that people who are healers, medicine men and women, shamans, witches, all these things, we think, oh, well, if they're in service to people, then they shouldn't make money. But don't you want the person who's going to be coaching you, healing you, et cetera, don't you want them to be able to be fully nourished, to have a house, to make sure that they are sleeping well at night? Because how can they take care of you if they're not nourished and full in themselves? So that is a big one that I'm working with. Okay, so another one that may be a bit more applicable to the everyday person is the mother and the child. So the child may actually have nuanced and key wisdom that the mother is blindsided from, for how to create more and how to have more life force energy and how to really be the most nurturing that she can be. And the last kind of maybe contradictory archetypes that I will share with you is, again, relating it to my personal story about this identity of being a woman. And actually, I have found that I've understood the more fullness of my capacity and the more different angles of my womanhood and my yoni power, my womb wisdom, actually by diving into the depths of my inner man, by working with the penetrative power of my conscious cock. And a conscious cock, what that is, that's for a different video, but basically it's my energetic lingam. And all in all, just really embracing my inner masculinity, being the man that I seek. So this has allowed me to be more of a woman, to embrace more of my femininity, to really surrender more of my femininity. Because at the end of the day, a man and a woman, if we're gonna call these opposites, they're on the same coin, they're just different sides. So of course, they have so much to teach each other. And they can see things that the other cannot, that the other is blinded to, because the other is so stuck in the channel, in the wave that they're riding. So halfway through this video, I just became aware of how shitty the lighting is and all the shading and all that. And I just want to be honest about this, because a lot of the time I limit myself and I say, well, I'm a fucking shamanic practitioner. I'm so in the woo-woo world that I can't learn how to fucking do this properly, how to do technology. Do you see how limiting that is for me? But if I actually just spent, a day learning properly, then we wouldn't have this problem, Then the lighting would be good and it would look very professional. So that is to show you another example, how limiting it is. So the fun stuff. Let's talk about how to actually practice this, how to embody this. So you're gonna choose an identity to start off with that is most prominent, and just choose one, okay? You may have like 1 to 3 you really feel prominent with. So maybe your gender, maybe your sexual preference, maybe your income status, your ethnicity, something like this. And then you're gonna choose an archetype that you feel like doesn't associate or identify with that archetype. So it doesn't need to be something that is completely opposite. It can just be something that you feel doesn't identify with it. So for example, perhaps you're gonna work with the identity of a man and you wanna start breaking free from this limiting box. So you choose the man, and then you choose an archetype of a kitty or an old lady or a little boy. And so then you can work with that other archetype to see how it can help break free your box of what you think manhood really is. Okay, so once you have that archetype that you want to ride that wave on, you're going to close your eyes and you're going to visualize and allow and call in this archetypal energy. And as you do this, really sink into the feeling, to the knowing that, okay, if in my physical reality, this archetype exists, then that must mean it exists inside myself. Because if I am the creator of this life and everything outside me I have created, then this aspect must be a part of me. So that hopefully can allow you to move through this in a non-judgmental space, because you want to be as non-judgmental as possible. Of course, you may not get there 100%, but if you quiet that voice of judgment, this is going to help you with this practice so much more, and it's going to help you be so much more free. So as you are looking into that archetype, so I'm going to give the example of the shaman and the businessman. So I feel and identify as a shaman. So now I'm going to allow in the businessman into my life. And I'm going to first meditate on him. What does he look like? What is he doing? How do I feel and believe a businessman looks and shows up in the world? What projections do I feel that a businessman is that comes from my shaman self? So of course, now since I think I'm this shaman, I have all these identities and judgments around that businessman. So let's first address that. What judgments do I have? What do I feel that this man is? Okay, so the shaman, my shaman self feels, wow, this man is not attuned to earth. He's so unearthly. He only cares about money. He's heartless. Okay, so that's a judgment. Okay, that's not reality. That's the judgment. And so I'm like, okay. Now let me recognize that. Why do I feel that he doesn't have an open-heartedness? Why do I feel that he only cares about money? Let me actually get closer to him. Let me see what he has to say. So I start to get closer. I'm going to choose one question. And I'm going to get closer to the businessman. And I see him in front of me. I'm looking at him. And I'm going to ask him, the thing I'm most curious about is, I feel you are not earthy like I am, okay? Like the shaman is. And then now I'm approaching from a space of non-judgment and curiosity. And I say, will you show me? Will you show me your response to that? Will you show me? And then that businessman actually shows me just how in tune he is with the world, how money. So let's say that it's really the money aspect to the businessman that really scares the shaman in me. And he shows me that money comes from the deep earth, and that money gives him the opportunity to provide for his family and to nourish himself and the people around him. And that this business he has grown, that he gives jobs to all these people, and that is so tribal and so beautiful and so powerful that he's able to actually be in service to the earth through his way of creating business. And how beautiful is that? So when you're doing this practice, I want to emphasize that you're staying in the light side. So you're not going to get into the shadow aspect, okay? So you're going to have your judgments, and you're going to allow that archetype to show you that they actually are not really walking that path, because you are judging them based off what you think that they are, but actually what you think that they are is a shadow aspect, both of your shadows and their shadows. So actually when you see them in that consciousness, in that light state, you will see, oh wow, the businessman is actually in service to the people. It looks differently than the way I'm in service, but I can learn something here. And so from there, you can continue on. So I see this businessman, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna allow you to move through my body. Okay, and letting that in. All right, I feel this energy. I feel this like power that's coming through. It's like, it's a different power than me as a shaman, but I feel it nonetheless. I feel my power center. I feel this drive to create structure, to be logical, to like actually write a business plan for myself. I'm starting to feel that alive. Okay, what do I want to speak about? How do I want to move as I'm expressing this? Can I spend the next hour just totally acting like I'm a businessman and just go full in on that and see what that can do for me and what can move through me as I am doing that? So now I'm going to spend the next hour or the next day fully owning that this is my identity, that this is my archetype. Okay? So that is how you can work with it. And so just to give another example, say you're that priest and you are inviting in the prostitute. When the prostitute enters, you could be like, okay, how does the prostitute move? Like, how does she touch her body? Like, how is that? Or maybe your question to the prostitute is, what do you know about being in relationship to God when God says don't have sex? And she says, well, that's religion that's saying that. That's not necessarily God that's saying that. And actually, there's so much about sacredness of my body and this choice of sacrificing my body. And wow, like just touching your body and feeling that feminine, feel how you can feel God as you are doing that. So things like that. I hope that is enough information to get you to start working with it, but I don't want to go through many different examples because I actually want you to explore. There is no right or wrong way to do this, okay? And it may take a while to get through the judgments and the shame and things that may move through your body as you do this, because that just requires some delayering and deconditioning that we've been taught. And of course, we're going to have projections on who we think these different identities are. But yeah, allow yourself to move through that shame and to question your shame. Allow yourself to question your judgments and ask that archetypal energy with curiosity. And if meditating doesn't work for you, then you can do writing. You can ask the question, and you're going to ask that question in the shaman, and then you're going to shake, and you're going to shift into the businessman. You're going to answer that question, and you can write it down. You can type it in your computer or whatever. So there's different ways to go about it. So have so much fun with this. Treat this as a playful thing and enjoy the process of it. And let me know what archetypes that you choose to work with down below in the comments. Keep me updated on your journey and ask me any questions you'd like. And this is your own process, so there's no right or wrong. The world is not as black and white as we think. So what you are doing is exactly perfect for you, but definitely share your process in the comments. I definitely want to be involved and help guide you in the best way I can. But other than that, thank you so much for watching this whole video. Much love to you, and have so much fun breaking free out of these fucking boxes that are so pointless. I mean, they do have a point, right? We create boxes just so we can break free from them, but it is time to break free from them, because I promise life is so much more fun when you do. Mwah.